Come on in the kitchen and let's get ready to bake. Today we are baking up these strawberry oat bars. This is an excellent use of strawberries. These are semi-healthy but very delicious. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's get started. I'm using a few simple ingredients to go into these strawberry bars. Strawberries, of course, a lemon, some brown sugar, some regular sugar, cornstarch, butter, flour, and some oats. First things first, I'm using 2 bowls, one larger bowl for the crumb topping and a smaller bowl for the strawberries, or they could be the same size. It really doesn't matter. In the first bowl, I'm going to make the crumb topping. That's going to be the base and the topping. And I'm starting off with a room temperature stick of butter. If you don't have a room temperature stick of butter, you haven't sat it out for a couple of hours, you can put it in the microwave for about 20 to 25 seconds and defrost it. That's another way of softening butter for quick use. Now I'm using 1 cup of whole oats. You don't want the quick oats, you want whole oats. And 1 cup of flour. It can be whole wheat flour. I'm using regular flour today. And I'm going to mix those together. Actually, I did get a little separate bowl just to mix these dry ingredients before I mix them with the butter. So we have the whole oats, we have a cup of flour, and I'm using a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. And then I'm just going to give these a good mix, a good stir, until everything is incorporated, well combined. And you want to mix that very well because you want it to be an even distribution when you put it into the pans. So it'll take a few minutes, just about 2 or 3 minutes to mix that well. And I also will be adding in about a teaspoon of cinnamon. And once the cinnamon is added, I'm going to give it a quick stir just to mix that in. And then the dry ingredients are ready to be mixed with the softened butter. Now this does take probably about a good 5 minutes if I'm just going to use the fork. If you have a pastry cutter, that works also. But this is that crumb topping. This is the base, the oatmeal oat bar base. So we have to mix this in with the butter probably about 5 minutes and just continue mixing, and before you know it, it'll become like little coarse crumbles, which will have like a sand-like consistency. So you want to mix it for about 4 to 5 minutes. And then I'll show you how it'll look, how it should look when it's finished. So just a sidebar for a minute, I love making crisp crumbles, cobblers with like apples and pears and things like that. This is basically the base of the crisp that I would just slice the fruit, put them in a pan, a baking dish, spread this crumble over it, bake it in the oven for a while, and then you have just like an apple crisp, a pear crisp, and it's absolutely delicious. So those are simple, easy ways to also use this mixture. Okay, now that that's complete, I'm going to set it to the side. This is how it should look. It's ready to go into the pan. It's going to be the base and the topping. I'm using a loaf pan today for these bars because I made just enough to go into the loaf pan. I think an 8x8 would have been too big. I didn't make that much. So I'm going to just take my loaf pan and I'm going to spray it down. But as you notice, I am using some parchment paper because I want to make sure I'm able to get the bars out the pan when they're done baking. So I'm just going to spray it with some baking spray. I measured out a piece of parchment paper and I'm going to put the crumble, the base, on top of that parchment paper. So when it's done baking, I'll be able to lift the bars out the pan easily. Otherwise, it could be some problems getting it out the pan. So I measured my parchment paper. And then I'm going to take my oat mixture, and the majority of it, about 2/3 to 3/4, the majority of the oat mixture will go into the pan first because that is the base. The base will be thicker than the topping. And so I'm going to just go ahead and dish it out, putting it into the pan, and then I'm going to smash it down a bit just to compact it so that it'll be the base of the bar. Now that my base is in the pan, I'm ready to start on the strawberries. I'm going to recommend 3 cups of diced strawberries. I use 2 in this recipe, but I would have added an extra cup if I had known. I would like a little bit more of that filling. So 3 cups of diced strawberries, just a squeeze of a lemon, about 2 teaspoons of lemon juice, fresh lemon juice. And we want to go ahead and use, for 3 cups of diced strawberries, we want to use about 8 tablespoons of sugar. You definitely can reduce the sugar if you like, if you don't want as much, but I just want to make sure there's a nice sweet flavor to balance the strawberries. I'm adding in 1 tablespoon of cornstarch also. So we have the diced strawberries, we have the sugar, we have cornstarch, and we have a little bit of lemon juice in this bowl. And just give that a quick mix. Make sure everything is combined well, and then it'll be ready to be spread over the base, that oat base of our bars. If you have it on hand, I would suggest adding in maybe a teaspoon of strawberry extract, only if you just happen to have strawberry extract in your cabinets, but it's nothing that you have to go out and buy. That would just intensify the strawberry flavor. But using the fresh strawberries, it comes out very well, very delicious also. But I was like, if I had some strawberry extract, I would try just a little bit in this mixture to bring up to see if it enhances the flavor any. So I'm putting in all my filling right over that base, as you see. And then once all that's in there, I'm just going to spread it, make sure everything is even, and then I'll be putting that final crumb coating on top. It's really a simple recipe, but one thing it is definitely, it is very, very good. You can eat in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. It's just like a nice little fresh fruit treat. And I think it's great for children. You can pack it in their lunches. They can have it on their way to school. So these fruit bars, they can go a long way. You can double the recipe. If you double the recipe, it'll make probably about a 9 by 13 pan. And you'll have even more. Okay, we're at the final step, and that is putting the crumble on top. There should be about 3/4 of a cup of crumble. If the whole mixture made about 3 cups, I will put 2 cups on the bottom for the base, 1 cup on the top. So that's about how I distributed this. I'm taking that final bit of crumble and just topping the strawberries loosely. You don't have to pack it on top. You don't want it packed on top. You want it to just to kind of melt, have that buttery crumble crust on top of the strawberries. So we just loosely top the bars. Just like that. I'm using everything that I have to go on top. So whatever's left in the bowl, go ahead and just put it on top. Now, if you wanted to use an alternate, something different than strawberries, probably can use blueberries. I will recommend blueberries. You could even use apples. You could use pears. I mean, definitely you can experiment with different fruits that are juicy. You want to make sure they're juicy fruits. And there it is. Our crumble is ready to go into the oven. After about 30-35 minutes, our bars are ready. Here they are. I've brought them out the oven. Completely let them cool for a couple of hours. Overnight, if you made them in the evening, I would definitely let them completely cool. Then I'm taking a plastic knife and I'm going around the edges that did not have parchment paper just to loosen that up before I pull it out. I'm using a plastic knife because I don't want to damage my pans with a metal knife. Once I loosen those edges, I'm just taking the size of that parchment paper. This is why the parchment paper comes in handy. I'm just going to turn it upside down, the bars upside down real quick in my hand, take off the bottom layer of that parchment paper. Sorry you can't see it too much. It just easily peeled off. I'm taking my base that I'm going to lay the bars on. That's my cutting board. And there they are. The strawberry oat bars are ready. They're complete. They're completely cooled. And now they're ready to cut. Now, as you see, I cut them into 8 bars, but there's one more touch that I want to add to these bars, and that's just a vanilla glaze, a simple vanilla glaze. About a half a cup, no, actually a cup of powdered sugar, 2 or 3 teaspoons of milk, about a teaspoon of vanilla. Mix that real well. I just put in a plastic bag, cut a little snip at the end of the bag, and just spread that glaze. So these are drizzled with a vanilla glaze. So my strawberry bars are coming in for a landing. They're delicious, but this glaze gives them an extra little kick. And they are amazing. These are very amazing. This was the first time I made this recipe, but I definitely will keep it to make in the future. Thanks for cooking with me. Thanks for baking with me. Thanks for coming in the kitchen. Until next time, have a blessed day, blessed week. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Subscribe. Take care.